Hello and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. My name is Katie and today I need to clear my head of the realities of the world. So I want to talk about something very fun, and I'm going to rank my about 10 most recent eyeshadow palettes. This is a video that I've seen a couple of people do recently. I saw Annette from Annette's Makeup Corner as the first person, and then I saw it first actually on Bridget. Her channel name is Porcelain. I saw it by her last week and I thought it was a great idea. Oh, no. I'm a Libra and very indecisive, so I don't really know why I'm making myself rank my recent purchases, but here we go. They did 10 eyeshadow palettes. I'm including 13 today, so these are palettes I have gotten between June or July and now. So over the past few months, these are the palettes I've gotten. If this sounds like something you're interested in, just keep on watching. Right. So, slight disclaimer so that we can get on the same page. I am fully aware that I don't need this many eyeshadow palettes, so you don't need to comment that. You don't even need to think it. Like, we both know it's true. This is unnecessary for any human, but I find it to be very fun, and it's a little hobby I have, and in the year of 2020, we gotta take our kicks where we can get them. So I'm gonna be ranking eyeshadow palettes. Let's go. I'm gonna go from, I guess, like worst to best, but I do wanna just clarify that actually I don't think any of these palettes that I'm about to show are bad. I just think that some are better than others, so just keep that in mind. None of these are actually bad palettes. I got some really good palettes, so in comparison. The last on the list, I got the bite-size eyeshadow palette from e.l.f, the Açaí. It's a blue one. I have two others of these, and I think the others are better. This one is okay. I don't really think that the shimmers are particularly stand out, and I don't think the mattes are all that pigmented, so that's why this is at the bottom. However, if you live in the US and you can get this for $3, it's a great little blue eyeshadow palette. I just think the other colors in this line are a little bit better. Oh, as a side note, if I've created any videos and published them to my YouTube channel with any of these palettes, I will link that down in the description box, so keep that in mind. Number 12 is my e.l.f. and J. Kissa palette. It is fun. I will say it's a rainbow palette. I love the theme. I like that it's all themed around rescue dogs. I think that's really cool, but I don't think this is the best rainbow palette. Whoops. I don't think it's the best rainbow palette you could get. I think you can get other affordable shadows that are better quality. Yeah, that's my opinion on this palette. Definitely at the bottom. I just think I would use this over this, but they're pretty even. Number 11 is the Tardis Pro palette from Tarte. I got this in June or July BoxyCharm. I've since obviously canceled BoxyCharm, but this palette is, okay. The thing with this palette is that it's so nice, but I don't need it. I have these colors dozens of times over in my collection, so this is a palette that if I hadn't gotten it in BoxyCharm, I never would have bought it. This is a super good palette though. It's a super high quality palette. I'm just ranking it kind of low in this list because I already have these colors, and I've used this palette one time since I got it a few months ago. And if you know me in real life and you want this eyeshadow palette, first person to send me a message, it's yours. I am happy to give this palette away, so that's how I feel about it. It's a really good palette. I just personally don't have a need for it in my collection. Next up is the Essentials 2 palette from Voss. I got this in my last box from BoxyCharm, my August box, And I think this is a great little palette. Depending on, again, what your collection needs, I could do without it. Like, I wouldn't have purchased this if it didn't come in that box, but I love these two shades, Wild Orchid and Blue Violet down here, as well as this bronze shade is very nice. Across the board, this is a nice little palette. It was fun to play with. Again, if you know me in real life though, I could probably live without this palette. If you want it, let me know. Okay, next up here, we have the Going Coconuts palette from ColourPop. This is a palette that, now that I have it, I've used it a few times and it's gorgeous, don't get me wrong. It's like the neutral shades that you need, like the starter kit for neutral shades. This is a great palette. It's 12 bucks, good mirror, sleek, easy to travel with. However, I'm putting it at the bottom of my list because I don't think I should have purchased this personally. I bought it, I got it when I was on ColourPop's website one time late at night and I was like, everybody's hyping this palette up, I should get it, which was silly because I don't really wear neutral eyeshadows as much as I once did. And again, I don't really need this, but I am glad I have it. I think that once we're in post-pandemic life, if it ever happens, this is a good palette for me to travel with, like to attend events or weddings or even travel for work. So I'm glad I got it, but it's kind of at the bottom of the list because I don't necessarily need it, but I am glad I have it. Next up is another one of the e.l.f. bite-sized eyeshadow palettes, and this one, I think it's like night and day better than the blue one. This green palette, the shimmers are both very standout. Both of the mattes are pigmented, easy to work with. I loved the look I created with this when I did play with it. And again, I think this one is really a great deal. You get a lot of bang for $3. Again, if you live in America and it's $3 here. I know in other countries, these are more expensive. I honestly wouldn't get them if they were more than $3. They're great, don't get me wrong, but it's relative, if that makes sense. The green one is certainly better though than the blue, and I love it. Number 7 is the ColourPop, another ColourPop palette, Blush Crush palette. I did not purchase this myself. However, it was a gift from my future sisters-in-law, essentially my sister, my actual future sister-in-law, and then like cousins-in-law, but they're more like, anyway, you don't care. But the point is, family got this for me, so it has, of course, an emotional tie-in. We're not just looking at the colors, but the fact that I got it on a very, very special day to me, the day I got engaged, with like a mug and all that. It's fun. I really like it. I love these little ColourPop 12-pan palettes. Much like the Going Coconuts palette, it's pretty neutral. However, it's pink and I wanted to rank it a little higher than that other one because of that emotional factor. And it's always gonna be sentimental when I use this eyeshadow palette. I do really like the colors. Also, I will add, I love it personally when ColourPop puts a Super Shock shadow into eyeshadow palettes. I much prefer that over the pressed glitters. So I like that this one has a Super Shock. It's called Pop a Bottle, and it's a really pretty color. Like, it's like peachy gold. I think this is a good little palette. So again, I'm glad to have this one, number 7. And now, as we get into number 6, these palettes, the rest of the palettes are like some of the best eyeshadow palettes that I own, just across the board. The rest of the palettes are chef's kiss. I don't know how I made the decisions to rank these, and don't hold me to it if in the future I claim one of these as my favorite, even if I said a different one was. So I'm just throwing that out there, but all right, so number 6 is my Glamlight Street Taco eyeshadow palette. I've had several like palettes kind of catch me off guard, and this is definitely one of them. I was expecting it to be good, but not as good as it actually is. Glamlight's formula is truly, truly great. If you like colorful eyeshadows, you should check Glamlight out. They're a Woman of Color owned brand. She's a fantastic person to support. So I love this. I got it in the Foodie Box Mexico edition a couple of months ago, and it's phenomenal. Again, I'll link all the corresponding videos, but this is very bright, and you can see from my 3 looks, 1 palette, and like the initial looks I did, it's a pretty diverse color story. Like you could make this more neutral or super vibrant, and I love that. And this has unique shades to my collection. I don't have other like neon brights like this, and I love this palette. Number 5 is the Sigma Untamed palette. I really, really enjoy this palette. They're up on my channel. I did a 5 looks, 1 palette video, and then I did an initial first impressions and did swatch comparisons to my other Sigma palettes. But I love this one. This is so good for the time of year. The shimmers are all great, except I don't love the blue shade. That's the only shade I could do without. And I probably would have preferred, rather than the black, like a deep wine or a deep plum. I really would have loved that, but those are kind of nitpicky. I mean, if that isn't nitpicky, that this, I don't like the blue shimmer, but otherwise this is a great palette because this palette is fun, but also like it's just super versatile. You can get really bright looks, or you can get subtle neutral looks. I think this is a great purchase if it fits a need in your collection. I still think the Sigma Enchanted palette is my favorite Sigma palette, but that's a matter of personal preference. They're both the same high quality. I really like this palette though. Okay, we're almost to the top. Number 4. That would be the Pure and Raw Beauty Christie palette. I love this concept. I love the neutral on one side and then the bright, colorful on the other side. These shadows are a phenomenal quality. I personally love matte, heavy palettes. Like the fact that this only has 2 shimmers is great. Like there's 1 shimmer on each side. Love the colors. Christie did a phenomenal job picking them out. I just a few minutes ago ordered her ColourPop collab. I'm so excited to get that. But this was another palette, much like that Glamlight one, where I opened it, I started playing with it, and I was like taken aback by how good it was. Like I thought it would be good, but I didn't have very high expectations. And so yeah, I was kind of caught off guard by how much I loved it. And again, I've done so many looks with it already. It was a great palette for Halloween. And yeah, this is a great palette if you can get your hands on it. I'm really glad that I was able to. And now, the top 3. It was hard. I'm not gonna lie. It was hard to decide between 4 and 5 because that's the difference between meddling and not. I love that Pure and Raw Beauty Christie palette, but this next palette definitely deserves that bronze medal. And that would be the Glamlight Dream. That's not the name of this palette. It's called the Ice Cream Dream palette. And this one, oh my gosh, it has amazing colors, an amazing formula, great packaging, everything. So good. It's so good. First of all, I love the 2 Glamlight palettes I have. I really, really appreciate that they're easy to store. I love that it has that 3D fun element to it with this like plastic thing that has all the sprinkles in it, but it's flat. I love it. It's a sleek design. I love the tie-dye. And again, I like that this is small, even if it's an odd shape. The Ice Cream Dream palette. Are you kidding me? Wow. Also, it has a mirror, which is nice. but these colors are next level, like, and I've used every shade in this palette so far. I've used every shade, and it's the same Glam Light formula. It's phenomenal. I had such a good experience with the foodie box that I got this Street Taco palette in, that I was like, I need to try their next launch because I want to have more shades in that eyeshadow formula, and I love these. This is such a fun, bright palette. I didn't own any pastel eyeshadows, so this kind of covers that, and this is a great palette. I love the versatility, because this palette could be very everyday, very neutral, very workable for professional settings or life events, or it can be really fun and you can amp up any look or do. I also love, this is a woman of color owned brand, and I think it's super important to point out that these pastel shades, they work on deeper complexions, and that is not always the case, especially with pastels. So I really highly recommend this. I love this palette. Number 2, Melt 27 palette. This is not a new palette, obviously, but it's new to me, and I got this for my birthday last month, and it's actually, I'm wearing this eyeshadow palette on my eyes right now. It's phenomenal. This is my ideal like pink neutral palette. I love it. I like that it has cool tones and warm tones. I love Melt's packaging, and this eyeshadow formula I love. It's so good. I absolutely love this palette. It was a great gift, and I can't get over it. I think the thing that sets the top 3 palettes apart from the others that I've gotten recently is the fact that it's not just that I like the color story and the eyeshadow formula is good. It's that the packaging is fantastic and sleek, and I love this. I love the layout of these shadows. I like the size of the mirror. I just love everything about this palette, and I am so grateful that I got it for my birthday and that it's mine. I'm so happy to have it, and it's been on my list since it came out. Yeah, so very special. And last but certainly not least, the number 1 spot, another not brand new eyeshadow palette, but definitely the best eyeshadow palette I've gotten this year, probably. I think it's safe to say that. My favorite palette I've gotten this year, even though it came out last year, is the Lunar Beauty Moonspell palette. Oh my gosh. If you want to talk about, I think this is the best eyeshadow palette packaging I own from my perspective. The details are, oh, it's so good. It looks like a spell book. It's so cute. Like looks like pages. The detailing on the spine of the palette is so good. It says Lunar Beauty Moonspell, has a skull, keys, and like the details are just, it's incredible. And the way that this palette feels, it doesn't feel like I'm holding an eyeshadow palette. The cover actually feels like a book cover, like a hardcover book. The details are phenomenal. And then aside from the beautiful packaging, we have my ideal color story inside, basically. Greens and purples, grungy and pretty. Wow. This eyeshadow palette, it takes the cake. It was tough to rank those top palettes because they're all very, very good, but this one, wow. I love it. Every time I do a look with this palette, I am pleased. Like, I don't think I've ever been disappointed, and I like that this is again another palette that has a lot of versatility. I can go greens and blues, I could go purples, I could go neutral in the middle because there's like a rose gold shade and an actual like more goldy green shade. I just find this to be a great formula as well. This is my only Lunar Beauty. This is my only Lunar Beauty eyeshadow palette so far, and I'm obsessed with it, if that's not abundantly clear. Also, this is just like, it's just so good. I can't get over the concept of it. Like, look at these details. And if you know me, this is very like on brand. I love it. I love it so much. And I love that I do like all types of looks. I can do all types of looks. And all the shade names are great because they're all witches in pop culture. Whole different witches, which I love. Oh, this is so good. But I hope you enjoyed. I had fun sitting around and just talking about eyeshadow palettes because clearly I love them. If I've obtained 13 since June, that's a bit excessive, but hey, it's fun. And I use all these palettes except for the ones at the very bottom of the list. Like I was saying, if I don't use it, I offered it up. So, but I really do. I just love. I just love them. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed filming it. I love talking about eyeshadow palettes, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been kind of bumming this week, struggling with the mental health and just taking a step away from reality to talk about some fun eyeshadow palettes was just what the doctor ordered. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in my next one. Bye.